Why would you fill it with coffee if it's... Never mind. Hi there, my name is Jame Bond, and welcome to the first episode of the Jame Bond Show. I'm excited. We're going to have a lot of fun here tonight. I want to introduce my co-host, famous podcaster, Gaming Ape. Tonight, I'm going to talk about two games. One of them is my favorite game of all time, Hotline Miami, and the other is a game that exists, Katana Zero. Now, I'm going to be very mean to Katana Zero, and I just want to say I do enjoy it. I think the core gameplay loop is very fun, and the art is good. But I have some stupid friends who seem to think it's better than Hotline Miami, which it is absolutely not, and I'm going to explain why. For those of you who don't know, Hotline Miami is a twin-stick shooter about a crazy person who wears rubber animal masks and goes around committing massacres at the behest of answering machines. The game is brutally difficult. If you get hit a single time, you're dead, but the same goes for your enemies. Unlike a lot of other one-shot-and-you're-dead games like Super Hot or, Katana Zero, your only advantage over your enemies is that you, presumably, have a functioning brain, unlike the enemies in the game. I'm convinced that the Russian mafia in this universe has mandatory full frontal lobotomies. But don't let their stupidity fool you. These motherfuckers will drop you if you don't kill them the instant you can. This game has an almost suicidal air to it, as you run into the same fight the 1000th time, and it's great. The combat is fun, and due to its difficulty and limited handicaps, makes you feel like a badass in sort of mad scramble bar fight way. The music also really helps in multiple ways. It pushes you on in the combat, but when it cuts out, you see its effect even more. This is another facet of Hotline Miami I love. It's able to simultaneously be a horribly violent game, and also a game that makes a great commentary on horrible violence in games. It makes you feel genuinely bad when you walk back to your car and the music cuts out and you're just wading through all the blood and guts from your last fight. Or maybe I'm just guilty about all that other stuff. Anyways, I find the game's story and the way it tells it very interesting. I love surreal stuff like this. You're never sure what's actually happening or what's just happening in your character's drugged up mind. It's able to create a lot of interesting questions without having too many story sections. Gaming Ape, what do you have to say about Hotline Miami? Anything you want to say? Okay then. Anyways, let's talk about Katana Zero. I found out about Katana Zero from some friends, and when I finally played it, I enjoyed it. But I noticed, hey, this is a lot like Hotline Miami. Both are about losers who take tons of drugs and take hits from places that should not usually tell you to kill people, with fast, difficult gameplay where you can restart quickly, an emphasis on soundtrack, a focus on older technology, and a strange psychedelic story where you are a small part of a bigger plot. And I want to stress this. I was not going into Katana Zero with the intention to hate it. I was very excited. But it fails in ways that seem easily avoidable. This is just kind of a list of things that sort of tie in together, but whatever. My first point is minor, but it gets annoying. The at-home sections fucking suck. In Hotline Miami, they're used to set up your next mission and tell the story of Jacket's relationship with the girl without saying anything. But most importantly, Jacket doesn't walk like he just shot himself in both kneecaps. These at-home segments do almost nothing for the plot. Some develop the relationship with the little girl, but they feel kind of inconsequential. I know some fucking galaxy brain commenter is gonna come in and explain why it's totally necessary to make your character go to sleep every night, but I don't fucking care. Tying more into the story, there's the dialogue choices. Again, this is not a huge thing. I just don't know what the devs were going for. At certain points, there are dialogue options in some cutscenes. Now, usually when there are dialogue options, it's because A, it's a branching narrative where you make your own choices, a la Telltale Games, or B, because it's kind of a role-playing game where your character is a blank slate to project yourself on. And you can make choices based on your personality or the personality of the character you're role-playing. Those can also be games where your choices matter. Katana Zero is neither of these. Your choices only matter in very specific circumstances, one of which I'll talk about later. Now, if you really fuck with your therapist the entire game, there's a secret boss fight, but that's basically it. There are parts where it's actively detrimental to the story. Around halfway through the game, there's a bit where the little girl asks the main character, "Are you a hero?" And I think the answer that makes most sense to the plot and where the character's at is, I don't know, since your character is most likely conflicted from the information they've been learning. But you can just say yes and totally fuck up the scene. I referenced one of your choices mattering earlier. I want to talk about it. Spoilers, by the way, but who cares? So there's these masked men who appear in the game, and it's not clear whether they're real or not, and the game hypes up this choice you're going to have to make. Big choice. Until it finally happens. And the choice is essentially, do you want to keep playing the game? I don't know who the fuck thought this was a good idea. I remember hearing about it from Zero Punctuation, thinking, that can't be what it is. He must be being hyperbolic. But nope, he was fucking dead on. This is the only real gameplay gripe. But there's this stupid fucking forced stealth section here. Well, yes, okay. Gaming Ape just reminded me that Hotline Miami also has a stupid, awful forced stealth section, but that makes it worse for Katana Zero, because it's clearly taking so much inspiration from Hotline Miami, and somehow didn't remember that the forced stealth section is the worst part of it. I don't know how this happened. The stealth part of Hotline Miami is literally the only part of it I dislike. If you're going to take inspiration from Hotline Miami, maybe also look at its flaws. Gaming Ape, are you not angry about this? Come on, give me something. Is he going to... Alright, I'll move on. I think that another problem when comparing the two is the general way they tell their story. Hotline Miami doesn't waste your time with this shit. The story sections are surreal and intriguing, and most importantly, don't fuck around. Katana Zero, you need to sit through the parts with the little girl, and the dream sequence, and the mid-mission cutscene, and the parts where you're just fucking around and not playing the fucking game. All this adds up to, instead of the game and story being in a lovely, healthy relationship, the story keeps fucking interrupting the gameplay, and it's annoying. You can tell the devs found the story really fucking smart. I don't want to hear the masked guys wax poetic for a fucking hour. Just ask me if I want to keep playing the game or not. The optimal way to play the game is the speedrun mode, but you only unlock it by beating the story mode. So if you want to play the game the good way, you have to sit through a bunch of bullshit. All this culminates at the end with the awful twists. Now earlier, I only kind of spoiled the game, but now we're going to full-on, no-turn-back spoiling. Now, for context, the main character is like a war veteran who had experimental drugs injected into them, giving them time clairvoyance. Halfway through the game, you find out there's another guy with the same drug, and at the end of the game, it's like, oh my god, they fought together in the war, this is crazy! And I just assumed they were in the war together, because how many people was the government pumping with these experimental drugs? There's also a twist that the little girl you befriend isn't real, but she shows up in one of your dreams, which is very clearly a flashback, so you're instantly just like, oh, she's not real. It just makes the ending kind of fall flat. Now, I was just very mean to this game, but I want to reiterate, I do recommend it. I don't think I can say enough how good the core gameplay loop is. It's able to make you feel like a badass in a different but equal way to Hotline Miami, and has a pretty high skill ceiling. It's just when stupid motherfuckers try to say that it's better than Hotline Miami, I need to prove my fucking points. I'm looking forward to Katana Zero 2, even if I don't think any of the story problems will be fixed, considering all the reviews are praising the story. That's all we have for you tonight. Make sure to tune in next time, whenever the next episode comes out. Gaming Ape, say goodbye.